Good morning. Thank you all and welcome to the 2024 State of the City Address. I am Councilwoman Jamie Torres and I'm proud to represent West Denver District 3. Please join me in acknowledging the Denver Municipal Band. And please rise as you are able. It is my honor to introduce the presentation of colors performed by representatives from Denver's Department of Public Safety. We honor and acknowledge that the land on which we reside is the traditional territory of the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples. We recognize the 48 contemporary tribes that are historically tied to the lands that make up the state of Colorado. We honor elders past, present, and future, and those who have stewarded these lands throughout generations. We also recognize that government, academic, and cultural institutions were founded upon and continue to enact exclusions and erasures of Indigenous peoples. May this acknowledgement demonstrate a commitment to working to dismantle ongoing legacies of oppression and inequities and recognize the current and future contributions of Indigenous communities in Denver. One of the reasons we have an amazing city is because we also have amazing elected officials. Or maybe it's the other way around. I would like to thank all of our electeds from around the region who have joined us today, and I want to give a sincere thanks to my Denver colleagues up here on stage with me. Please give a wave when I call your name. From Denver City Council, Council President Amanda Sandoval. Councilman Kevin Flynn. Council President Pro Tem Diana Romero Campbell. Councilwoman Amanda Sawyer. Councilman Paul Cashman. Councilwoman Flor Alvides. Councilwoman Chantal Lewis. Councilman Darrell Watson. Councilman Chris Hines. Councilmember Stacy Gilmore. And Councilwomen at Large Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez and Sarah Perez. Presiding Judge of Denver County Courts, Carrie Lombardi. Denver District Attorney Beth McCann, Auditor Tim O'Brien, and Clerk and Recorder Paul D. Lopez. Thank you all. Now I would love to invite Celicia Lopez to share today's blessing and prayer.
Good morning, friends and community. My name is Celicia Esther Lopez, and I am a Chicana native from Denver, Colorado. My family has been in this state for over 3 generations, and my ancestors come from the Otomi people in Mexico and from the Apache people right here in this continent. I am an educator and an activist, but most importantly, I come to you this morning as a woman, as a daughter, as a mother, as a grandmother, a sister, a friend, an auntie, a mentor, a femtor, actually, and so much more. I would like to start by saying thank you, and thank the Creator for this day, for another day where we can all have the breath of life, and be here and gather today as we listen to our mayor and our leader and our leaders of today share with us how what our plan is to move forward. But before going into the future, I want to remind us of one thing that I center as an Indigenous woman, and I think it's important to say that I was born and raised here, but I have been spiritually raised with the Lakota people from the Sicangu Nation on Rosebud, South Dakota. And so that is how I strive to live my life and walk that way. And it's important to recognize our elements and Creator before we move forward in recognizing the air and the water and the fire and Mother Earth, because all of those things matter. If we don't have our environment, we don't have the air to breathe. If we don't have water, we cannot survive. We all come from water. The womb is the sacred water of life. So if you don't know that campaign and that activism, it's important to know so, because without water, we would not be here. And without water, we cannot continue. And so I say Mini Vishoni, which is water is life, and the sacredness of how we move forward. And the movement, water brings the movement of the forwardness of how we grow together collectively, how we grow together as a community and as people, especially right now in this time when our country is in so much turmoil and sitting in division and divisiveness. How do we come together with this new shift that's happening and really center us as people and the community and center people and the common good over greed and individualism? That is a prayer that I sit with every morning, that I sit with my family, and thinking about how we move forward in human dignity and centering us so that we can better ourselves, everybody, right? Everybody has a part in how we grow forward. And so it is really important, I want to say to our leaders sitting behind me and our leaders sitting in front of me and everyone in between, that we really, I pray that we can think about our past, present, and our future, right? Indigenous peoples, we say the seventh generation is rising, and we look to our ancestry. No matter where you come from, you have ancestry that is rooted in your identity and your agency. And so to think about that as we move forward is critically important, and not about the differences in that, because we are different and that's okay. We don't have to agree to work together. We don't have to agree, or I don't have to necessarily love somebody to work with them. We can have differences and still work together for a common goal and a common good. And that is the prayer that I ask us to be centered in today and the days forward as we move into the future, so that Denver can be the best city that it can be for all of our future generations. For my grandson sitting at home who can have an education, he's 3 years old, and I'm terrified for his future if we can't come together, right? But not only him, his future generations, all of us thinking forward so that we can create and leave a path that is genuine and centered in love and centered in human experience and dignity. And so those are the words that I want to leave us with, really, is thinking about our past and our present, which is right now, and we have the ability to act in a human way, in a dignified way, and then our future. Because the way we show up today is the way our future will receive us. And so with that, I say thank you. Pilamia, gracias. I wish you all a good day.
It's been 12 months since we were last together, kind of like this. Seems like a short time, but lately we can never underestimate how much change can happen in a short period of time. Just look at the last 24 hours. I invite you to think about all that's transpired in your life in the last 12 months and what you will do with the next 12. As council looks to the new year, our stated priorities to the mayor included 3 new areas: treat climate change as the emergency that it is, increase access to physical and mental health care and addiction resources, and invest in children, youth, and families. Our quality of life is as critical as our infrastructure, and we cannot achieve the things we don't ask for and aren't prepared to work for. Leadership in this city is not just on this stage, it is you. It is everyone sitting next to you, and it is every resident outside of this theater who right now are working, are volunteering, are extending a stranger kindness, opening the doors of their business, or going to bed after a night shift. Leadership is all of us, and it always will be. So thank you to all the leaders in Denver. I saw you show up for your neighborhood and your community in meaningful, challenging, heart-bursting, and powerful ways this year. Thank you. Now, let's see what we've accomplished as a city this year.
There are moments that mark chapters in our lives, like a climber halfway to the summit who stops to look out to see where we've come and where we still have to go. To dream a Denver bold enough to include all of us. To serve our city above ourselves. And to march on shoulder to shoulder, undeterred by failure, until we deliver results. That is our oath. That is how we put our arms around those stuck in a cycle of hurt, and it is how we pull this city back into a cycle of hope. It is how we dream, serve, and deliver Denver as America's best city. This city succeeded in under 6 months, moving more than 1,000 people off of the streets and into housing. We accomplished something powerful in 2023 because we live in a city where we believe hard problems are solvable. And we believe we are the ones to solve them. And we will not turn our back on those who need us the most in their most difficult hour, most difficult day. Public safety is a project that all of us own. It is not something you do just with a badge and a gun. It's not something we just rely on law enforcement to do. It is something that we as a community do together. The opposite of crime is not safety. The opposite of crime is joy. So what we want to do is really deliberately sow joy on all of the streets. And when migrants began to arrive in Denver by the busload, we faced a crisis, the biggest in the country. Today we will announce the Denver Asylum Seeker Program, which will give us a chance to better serve migrants and avoid cuts to core public services and stabilize the city budget. And we send a clear message we do whatever it takes to not only protect the downtown we once had, but to build the downtown that we always dreamed. Our Vibrant Downtown campaign will bring the same thoughtful, deliberate, inclusive development we have seen at Union Station to all of downtown. Our vision is to create the fastest growing economic engine in the West, but one that also brings a more diversified central neighborhood district where people of all ages and incomes can make their home. By the end of 2024, we're prepared to start making investments in what will be the most vibrant downtown neighborhood in America. The place we can come to experience world-class art, unbelievable food, championship sports, and open, accessible, memorable public spaces that you can only find in Denver.
City of Denver, how you doing?
It looks great. I get to welcome you on the first ever direct flight from Belma to Denver. You are a part of history here. 1, 2, 3, Denver! We can chart a new course for what is possible.
Please welcome Denver Mayor Mike Johnston.
I was kind of hoping you would do that after the speech, as opposed to before the speech, but I'll take it in stride. Thank you. I do want to echo a deep gratitude to all of our federal elected officials and state partners who are here, and of course to our city officials and our council. I do want to say a special thank you to former President Torres, who's been an incredible partner to me in my first year in office. And to current President Sandoval, who will be a partner with me. I remember well, a year ago, first time I visited an encampment as a mayor. And the first man I talked to, I remember, showed me the sores all over his back from where he'd been bitten by rats in the middle of the night when he was sleeping. He told me how hard it was to hold a job because when you left during the day to go on a shift, when you came back, all of your stuff had been stolen from your tent. He talked about the people that would show up with a gun and take his tent and turn it over into a temporary home base to sell drugs before they would disappear. Again, he talked about how many times he had been pushed from block to block or place to place and had to start all over again. And the crisis was not only affecting him, it was affecting all of us. We talked to business leaders and the neighborhood who would talk about how they were facing going out of business, how they cut off the foot traffic from the huge encampments, how revenues were plummeting. We had a post office that notified they might have to shut down service because they couldn't get people in and out of the post office. We had hospitals who had a hard time getting people in and out of their hospitals as patients. Some blocks of downtown, we had more tents than we had businesses. And the encampments were magnets for crime, including a young high school grad from the city who was an Army veteran who got shot in the middle of the night while he was in a tent trying to take care of his sister. To many, there was no problem that seemed more unsolvable than street homelessness. Many cities had given in or given up, believing that after COVID, homelessness and encampments were the new normal for every American city. There were 1,000 reasons people said we couldn't succeed. No Denverite will want to accept a new facility to house the homeless in their neighborhood. You can't find enough land or units to solve a problem this big. Construction timelines are 18 months, not 18 weeks. Or people want to be homeless. They wouldn't take housing even if you offered it to them. But in those stories, we saw hope. In every conversation, we found neighbors who wanted to help. In every tent, we found a person who just needed someone to believe in them. We believed that no one was unredeemable, and no problem was too big for a city committed to change. So we went to work. We listened to neighbors at more than 60 town halls across the city. We called on leaders from all sectors to help, including faith leaders and nonprofit leaders and business leaders, and we called on unhoused neighbors themselves to be partners. We partnered with this courageous city council to identify, build, and open 1,200 units of transitional housing in 8 different council districts across the city. And at each of those sites, we offered the wraparound services people need. Thank you. And as of today, 1 year later, we have now moved more than 1,600 people off the streets and into transitional housing. In these last 12 months, Denver has housed more people faster per capita than any city in America. And in finding them a home, we created a better home for all of us. I remember more than a year ago, before I took office, walking downtown with my daughter Ava, we rounded the corner and saw someone sleeping on the street, and she said, "Dad, why don't we do something?" We did do something. And today, you can walk out this theater with your daughter, and I can walk out with mine. And you can walk down the mall to Union Station, or over to Coors Field, or through all the businesses in 5 Points. You can walk past that post office or the Denver Arts Complex or the Convention Center or the Civic Center Park. And when you make that walk today, you will not see a single tent or a single encampment in all of downtown Denver. Because those people who were living on the streets are now living indoors in dignity. A dream that seemed impossible a year ago, that we could find a path to end street homelessness in the next 4 years, now feels more possible than ever. And this year we will mark a major milestone towards that goal, to end street homelessness by focusing on one of our most vulnerable populations, and that's veterans. Those who have risked their lives for our country deserve the decency of stable housing. That is why we are proud to share that by the end of 2024, Denver is on path to become the largest American city to ever end street homelessness for American veterans. But our work is not done. We have much more to do to bring more people off the streets and to help people in transitional housing get placed into permanent housing. This historic effort has not been easy and has not been without mistakes. But in it, we hope you can see the blueprint for what this city can do. We will be bold about what is possible and humble about what it takes to get there. We will be relentless in our focus and collaborative in our process. We will make mistakes from sprinting, but never from standing still. We may fall short by dreaming big, but never by thinking small. Because I would always rather be disappointed by believing in each other than affirmed by doubting each other. That is the story of our All In Mile High effort, an unfinished story, and it's the story of Denver. But as we are working to get 1,000 unhoused individuals off the streets and into transitional housing, 30,000 newcomers arrived in our streets in the last year. Many of them arrived in the middle of winter with sandals and a t-shirt, hungry and thirsty and tired, without money or a job or shelter. Individuals like Daniela, who was a school teacher in Venezuela, and her husband owned a small plastics manufacturing company. He had made the mistake of speaking up against the government in Venezuela, and Ford had been arrested multiple times in prison, and their family had been threatened. So after the last arrest, Daniela decided it was time to leave. She and her husband took their 9-year-old daughter, left their business and their home and everything they owned, and walked 3,000 miles to America. They carried their daughter through the treacherous Darien Gap, more dangerous than Colorado's most jagged 14ers, holding tight to her daughter's hand on those faces where hundreds of families had fallen over the edge. And holding tight to her daughter in the middle of the night in those places where thousands of young girls had been sexually assaulted by cartels in the drive to get to America. When she crossed the border, like many, she did not intend to come to Denver, but was sent here by a governor who thought that brave newcomers would challenge our humanity. They would break us. They would divide us. He had decided they weren't people, but problems. In this crisis, Denver saw not problems, but possibility. The people of this city responded in heroic ways. With the partnership of City Council, the leadership of President Torres, and now President Sandoval, we rose to the occasion. Working with incredible nonprofit partners like Yoli Casas, who I see is here tonight from Viva Wellness, like the Highland Moms, people who stepped up. They cooked food for families. They cleared out their closets for clothes for families. They even welcomed families into their homes. And city employees stepped aside from whatever their current job description was, and they stepped in to do what this city needed them to do. Setting up intake systems, opening shelters, providing meals and transit, launching legal clinics, placing people in housing, and finding their jobs. In this moment of crisis, our city employees were the highest ideal of public servants. And they, today, among all, deserve your praise. In this moment, it would have been easy to blame someone else, to give up or to give in. But Denver did something different. We rolled up our sleeves and believed that even this problem was solved. We put thousands of people through free legal clinics to get work authorization. We moved thousands of people into housing, and we launched the country's first asylum seeker program that helps our newcomers get what they need most, a job. Our program helps newcomers caught in a broken federal immigration system where they may have to wait 7 years for a court date without the ability to work while they wait. We found a new path, helping every newcomer in our program apply for asylum, then while they were waiting those 6 months, get access to the skills they need to enter the jobs that Denver demands. Our program, in partnership with Centro Trabajadores, helps them learn English, develop financial literacy, choose a high-demand career that Denver employers can't fill, earn career certifications, get beyond the job work experience, so when that work authorization comes through, they are ready. What was meant to be a crisis that would divide us, we turned into an opportunity to unite us. Newcomers wanted a path. Newcomers wanted a path to get a job and support themselves, and support their families and support our city. Our businesses were desperate for a talent pipeline of committed workers who could fill those jobs that were hardest to fill. So we built a program to do just that. Thanks to Denver's indomitable spirit of service, this historic effort has meant that in Denver, the city that has welcomed more migrants per capita than any city in America in the past year. We don't have encampments of migrant families living on the streets. We've helped families find their way to housing and dignity and work. Families like Daniela's. After she arrived in one of our shelters, she and her husband applied for work authorization. He got a job working as a chef here in Denver, and she started this spring as one of the founding teachers of a school that Yoli put together up in Northwest Denver to help newcomers acclimate to America. Some kids have been out of school for years, didn't know the systems or the structures, the routines. She was that teacher to be the first face to help welcome them to Colorado. And she's not done yet. Now this fall, she will start as a paraprofessional in the Denver Public Schools, helping students across this city begin their journey. in Denver, the American dream is alive and well. Now, these challenges from year one were daunting, and they required an entire city to rally support to make them successful. That's why we made sure that people leading our city represented our city and brought new ideas to the table. Working together, we built the most diverse cabinet in Denver history, and I believe the most talented. We built the first all-female executive team, and we did it with an unprecedented amount of public involvement. Partnered with more than 500 people who served in the largest and most inclusive transition in Denver history. To all those who did that, thank you for your service. Our work is not done, but our progress is dramatic. Our successes have opened up new opportunities for even greater impact in the year ahead. And inside each of these struggles, we see the need for more work to be done. Walking out encampment a year ago, the challenges I saw were not just homelessness, but a larger ecosystem that needs attention. Saw the need for a citywide commitment to public safety. We saw a chance to connect each of us back to each other in our communities. The need for an economic revitalization of our city center and all of our neighborhoods, and the urgency to make Denver affordable for everyone. These are the priorities that will drive the year ahead, and I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about those before I close. Often when we talk about public safety, people think of crime. And as I said, the opposite of crime is not safety, the opposite of crime is joy. What we want for our city is a place where every neighborhood is brimming with joy, where your kids can ride their bikes, or you can go out for a late night run, your mom can walk to and from the store and never once have to worry about her safety. That's why we've launched an ambitious plan to make Denver the safest big city in America. We've held council meetings, we've held community meetings and council meetings in every council district to listen to residents about what our neighborhoods need. And the feedback is clear, that safety is about more than police work. It's about social work, and economic development work, and educational work. It's about street lighting and arts activation and youth summer jobs. It's about all of those things working together that make communities vibrant. That's why we started by putting 700 young people to work this summer through our Mayor's Youth Works program. We will launch 25 community events and pop-up activities this summer that bring joy and vibrancy to streets that could otherwise be dark and dangerous. We have aggressively targeted auto theft. Thank you. We have aggressively targeted auto theft through license plate readers, easy vehicle registration, enhanced deterrence, and swift investigation. We've started an Office of Neighborhood Safety for the first time to align all the services that make our communities safe and vibrant without needing an officer. And it makes it easier for communities to engage with city services without the pressure of a law enforcement contact. We will also step up patrols in places where the risk of crime is high, knowing that when a patrol officer visits a site for even 10 minutes, the likelihood of a crime happening on that site over the next 2 hours goes down dramatically. But we also know the best way to stop crime is to prevent it. And the best way to prevent crime is to build trust. So we will start a new practice of trust patrols, where officers can get out of their patrol car and walk through neighborhoods and talk to someone in a business or a rec center or at a public event and ask them what's working, what's not, what can we do better. By the end of next year, we will have run more than 6,000 trust patrols in neighborhoods all around the city. And anyone who has a business or an event that wants an officer to come by and be a part of that trust building, you can ask them anytime on our city website. Because a more trusting city is a safer city. And the great news is while there is more work to be done here, we are already showing results. After a hard decade when Denver had the highest crime increases of any major city in America, these strategies are already making a difference. Crime is already down. Auto theft is down 31%. Shootings and homicides are down 27%. Property crime is down nearly 30%, and we are just getting started. Whenever I talk to someone about their dreams for their neighborhood, the first thing that happens is they offer to help. With every challenge we have faced this year, we have seen the overwhelming evidence of Denverites called to serve. Whether it was getting up early to cook breakfast for 20 migrant families or showing up to prepare toiletries for someone moving into their first unit off the streets, what has remained clear is that Denver is a city motivated by a spirit of service. We all believe these problems are solvable. We all want to do our part. And we know that we are far more powerful when we work together in service of a purpose bigger than ourselves. My wife, Courtney, has shared that same deep call to serve others. We first met as school teachers in Mississippi Delta, and when I went on to be a teacher and a school principal, she served as a teacher and a social worker, a therapist, and then as a district attorney protecting those who are most at risk. When we took the oath of office a year ago, Courtney had a vision to bring Denver together around that spirit of service. So today we are proud to launch the effort she is committed to make part of our legacy. This program, Give 5 Mile High, is based on a simple idea. We all can serve, and our city is better when we do it. We will ask every Denverite to give 5 hours of their time each month to serve our city and our neighbors. Each month we'll focus on a different citywide need and partner with nonprofit organizations across the city to make it easy for every Denverite to serve and to serve together. On the third Saturday of every month, we'll host our Give 5 Mile High Service Day, and we will start in August with a partnership with Denver Public Schools to ensure that every child is ready to start school with the resources they need to succeed. In September, we will move on our focus to Beautify Denver, launching a citywide cleanup day to make sure every block of Denver is beautiful. So when you walk out of this beautiful Paramount Theater today, you will see my beautiful wife standing at the front door with flyers and info and all the resources you need to get your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers to join you for the city's first Give 5 Service Day this August. Can't wait to see you there. More than 100 years ago, this majestic Paramount Theater opened, designed by Temple Buell. It's a historic icon of the Art Deco era, and when it opened, 20,000 people gathered outside to celebrate the art and the life that they knew it would bring to downtown. We wanted to host this State of the City here today to join the chorus, now more than 100 years running, that this can be the heart of the most vibrant city center west of the Mississippi. Downtown Denver is the economic and artistic engine of the city, and we cannot have a vibrant city without a vibrant downtown. Downtown Denver is the living room for every Denverite, and it is the playground for every Coloradan. That is why this year we will launch our Vibrant Downtown campaign to make the largest ever investment in downtown without raising taxes. We will use these resources to turn downtown from a central business district to a central neighborhood district, complete with affordable housing and public parks, childcare, great retail, restaurants, art and music, and walkable, activated streets where you can get lost in a vibrant world that you can only find in Denver. And the catalyst for this success of downtown will be the final reopening of the 16th Street Mall. Yes. We are grateful for our friends at the Downtown Denver Partnership who are leading this effort, and we will partner to be able to make this a spot that we are all proud of. All of us has a memory of the 16th Street Mall. Every Denverite has one. I remember playing street chess out on the 16th Street Mall when I first moved to Denver as a young person. I remember writing my wedding proposal to Courtney in lipstick on our apartment window in our first apartment on the 16th Street Mall when we moved to Denver. You can already feel the energy of the mall coming back with the first few blocks we opened this summer. And we're just getting warmed up. By the next State of the City, 16th Street will be open from Union Station to the Pavilion, buses will be running, people will be strolling down our new broad sidewalks, brand new stores will be open, and a whole new generation of Denverites will be coming down to make a whole new generation of memories. One last thing to share. A vibrant Denver has to be one that can include all of us. Denver has to be a place where the ushers who welcomed us in today, the chef in the kitchen next door, the kindergarten teacher who will greet your child when you take her back to school in September. It has to be a place where all those folks can afford to live. Tonight, somewhere in Denver, a girl will wake up scared in the middle of the night and walk into her mom's room, expecting to find her fast asleep. And she won't be. She'll be awake, staring at the wall, wondering how she's going to find a way to pay the $200 more a month that her rent just went up. She already added more shifts the last time the rent come up. What can she do now? Where will she go? She'd have to take her daughter out of the school that she loves, away from the friends that she loves and she's known her whole life. She'd have to find a new job or make a long commute. She loves this city and this neighborhood and this life that she has built, and she is terrified she's going to lose it. When her daughter asks what's wrong, she stops for a moment. She can tell her daughter anything, but she can't bring herself to answer this one. She's not the only one awake. Down the street, there's a grandmother who retired from 40 years of teaching school to move to Denver to be close to her grandkids. She gets to see every flag football game, volunteer in their classrooms, help pick out a dress for the middle school dance, and host dinners and sleepovers when her daughter has to work late. But the rents keep going up, and her fixed income retirement does not. She can feel the lump growing in her throat, wondering how she will tell her daughter that she may have to leave and move back home because she can't afford to stay in Denver anymore. And what will she do when the baby girl, the littlest of all, holds her leg and says, "Please, please don't go"? Or the girl across town who should be out with her friends. She has a brand new college diploma in her hand and a job offer right here now. She's in her childhood bedroom, and her heart warms as she looks at the photos on her desk of her and all her friends that one summer night at Red Rocks, or the one of her at age 7 in a tiara at her first Pride Parade. But that warmth recedes into fear because she's looked at the rental cost and she's done the math 100 times. And even with this new job that she thought was a great salary, she can't see a way to afford to have her own place. And if she can't afford to rent here, how would she ever be able to buy a home here? Maybe she should take the other job offer somewhere in the Midwest where it might be cheap. But her dream was always to come home, to raise her own kids here, to watch her kids do mutton busting at the stock show, to watch their desks fill up with the photos you can only get in Denver. But she suddenly feels alone, like her hometown has left her behind. There will be all the same doubts about this hard problem that we've heard about the others. The problem is too complex. Solutions are too expensive. This is just what happens when cities grow up as they become unaffordable. People don't want affordable housing in their neighborhood. But our commitment is to see every problem as solvable and to stay at it relentlessly until we find a way. That is why we will partner with City Council this week to work to send a measure to the ballot this November to support our plan for an affordable Denver. This measure, funded by a half-penny sales tax, would only cost Denver families about $2 a week, but it would put us on the path to bring on the 45,000 units of affordable housing we need to fill our entire gap of affordable housing over the next 10 years. If we want to keep the mom and the grandma and the college graduate in Denver, we can. But we have to choose it, and we have to fight for it. This November, I will ask you to choose it by voting for an affordable Denver on your November ballot. Finding a way to reverse the economic impacts of a global pandemic on a city center is hard. Replacing cycles of violence with centers of joy is hard. Living on the streets in a tent in a Denver winter is hard. Leaving everything you have and walking 3,000 miles to a future that is unknown is hard. And finding the resources and strategies to bring on enough housing to keep a growing city affordable is hard. But if there is one thing we've learned in the past year, it is that the single hardest problem we will ever face is the belief that we can't solve these problems at all. Once we have defeated that, anything is possible. In these uncertain times, the world will flood you with examples of hatred and division and dysfunction. It will ask you to doubt. It will tempt you to distrust. It will invite you to pass judgment. It will beg you to walk away. In those moments, you will long for proof that we are right to believe in each other, that we are right to think we can find a way, that we are right to trust that we can try one more thing, one more time that we haven't tried before, and then break through. In those moments when your friend or your neighbor or your parent has given up, let them look to Denver and see that those problems that have torn other cities apart have brought us closer together. Those challenges that have overwhelmed other communities have only made us stronger, because the one thing you won't find in Denver is that destructive, contagious belief that we can't. Here in this capital of the New West, where the mountains are tall and the rivers are deep, people believe in each other, and they lean on each other, and they fight for each other, fortified by the deep belief that all our problems are solvable, and we are the ones that solve them. So let's get to work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. I was honored to receive the gavel from Councilmember Stacy Gilmore 2 years ago. I have been honored to pass that gavel to Councilwoman Amanda Sandoval, and now Council President Amanda Sandoval. Denver is not unfamiliar, nor are we afraid of women in charge. Thank you for that trust, and I am proud to represent District 3, but I am proud to bring out my friend and my colleague and my president, Councilwoman Amanda Sandoval.
Thank you, Mayor Johnston, for those amazing remarks. Now I would like to take a moment to recognize the critical work being spearheaded by the City Council. Our efforts have constantly prioritized the needs of our working families. This includes initiatives like the Mobile Home Park Project to combat displacement and legislation to protect our workers in the wage theft legislation led by City Council. We have also been diligently implementing the visions within Denver's adopted plans. In Northwest Denver, District 1, what I call the North Side, we pioneered the model to rezone entire neighborhoods for accessory dwelling units. This initiative has paved the way for a citywide rezoning effort currently being led by several of my colleagues. The importance of accessory dwelling units are creating benefits for homeowners and providing much-needed, family-oriented, affordable housing without diminishing and demolishing existing homes. And those existing homes, think of the 78 neighborhoods that we all live in, the fabric of Denver, and the importance that every time we call home, because everybody knows home is where the heart is, and our hearts are right here in the 78 neighborhoods that represent Denver. As Councilwoman Torres highlighted, Council created 3 new priorities, and we are highlighting the significance and the importance of our environment. And with that, she and I announced the creation of a new committee dedicated to the South Platte River, which runs through the heart of our city. We're attempting to undo the wrongs of the past Many of you may have been here when the flood of '65 hit. It was memorable, the biggest destruction Denver had. And now, with the South Platte River Committee, we can have an entire corridor that runs through our city that has a focus on Denver City, being focused on by Denver City Council. I have to say, it is a profound honor to serve alongside this diverse body, which truly reflect the communities that make up our great city. Our council includes 8 women. The majority of council is 8 women, 6 whom are Latinas, 2 yes, for the first time ever, 2 openly LGBTQ members, and one representative from the community of people with disabilities. Each member is a dedicated, thoughtful, and passionate public service. And I would also like to say, thank you, Councilwoman Torres, our steadfast leader over the past 2 years. She navigated 2 distinctively different administrations, guided a cohort of 6 new council members through some of the most challenging times in our city's history, which the mayor addressed, a homelessness state of emergency, and a migrant crisis, all within their 6 months. Mayor Johnston said a few weeks ago, as Jamie and I and the mayor met, it's hard to get credit for non-stories. And that's what President Torres did. She had non-stories, and it's really hard. Let's give her a round of applause. Thanks to Councilwoman Torres' leadership, she ensured everyone's safety during protests that took over our council chambers. So thank you, Torres, for your caring and inspiring leadership. One of my favorite quotes from laureate Rabindranath Tagore says, "I slept and I dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy." As we look to the year ahead, I am confident we will rise to the challenges facing Denver, thanks to the remarkable elected public servants up on this stage who serve and serve with joy.